New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani made an appearance on ABC's The View on Tuesday. Now, this wasn't his first time being on the show, but it was his first time since being elected mayor.
Now, the panel asked a number of tough questions, including where he stands on ICE, and Mamdani called for abolishing the agency. Here's what he had to say.
We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people, no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case. And I'm tired of waking up every day and seeing a new image of someone being dragged out of a car, dragged out of their home, dragged out of their life. What we need to see is humanity. And there is a way to care about immigration in this city and in this country with a sense of humanity. What we're seeing from ICE is not it, and we have not seen that from them in a long, long time.
Mamdani also touted his accomplishments so far since his inauguration on New Year's Day, saying there's no problem too big or too small for them to address. Take a look.
This is the dream of a lifetime, and we've always wanted to build a city government that moves as fast as New Yorkers do. You know, when a New Yorker's trying to walk somewhere, you don't get in their way. Right. City government, it hasn't felt like that for a long time. So we've wanted to say that there's not going to be any problem too big or too small for us to address. So day one, we put bad landlords on notice right after that inauguration speech. You know, day 6, we fixed a bump on the Williamsburg Bridge. Day 8, we announced more than $1 billion in funding for universal child care.
Not everyone was a fan of those remarks, as some conservatives felt the mayor could be trying to overstep his boundaries. Matt Walsh wrote on X, "No problem too big or too small for us to address. Perhaps the most ominous thing a public official can possibly say. Also un-American." Co-host, however, of The View, Whoopi Goldberg, closed out the interview with some words of encouragement for the mayor. Let's watch.
I just want to say, listen, if you can do what you say you can do, you will not only remake the city, but you may help remake the nation. Yeah. So, I got my fingers crossed for you.
This is as propagandistic and sycophantic as anything in conservative media when they interview their heroes. Oh, they're just gushing about how wonderful and transform. Oh, you're going to accomplish so much. Oh, it's so transformative. Oh, it's so amazing.
Alyssa Farah Griffin was there to criticize him and ask tough questions. I mean,
Okay.
Why are you so bothered by this? Some people are allowed to believe in the message that Mamdani is sending. All the women have in common is that they're all New Yorkers, so they're affected by his policies directly. It's not like they're speaking from Florida saying, hey, we champion you, we encourage you. And why are people so riled up about him saying no problem is too big or too small? That's un-American. That's dramatic. Like, what?
I guess it was a little dramatic. But
okay, you'll take that.
Fine.
I also want to go back to the ICE point. So ICE is barely 20 years old, like maybe 23 years old. And we've had immigration law for centuries, some version of it, without ICE. And so if ICE's original intent was to do a certain job, which was focused on human trafficking, drug smuggling, organized crime-related arrests, and now somehow they're becoming these people that go into cities because President Trump wants some political retribution against these cities and pulls people out of their workplaces, out of school-related areas, and makes fear present in cities. I don't know that that's the intended purpose. So what his argument was, I thought was fair about ICE and figuring out a new way forward, because the point is to address immigration in the way that people will criticize Biden for not doing, but it was not to have Americans and migrants as well lose all their humanity in the process. And that was his biggest point there. So I thought Mamdani sounded really sound of mind making that point.
But again, I go back to the point, and I'm just going to keep making it because it's the strongest point the Republicans can muster on their behalf, is that, okay, we don't have to have ICE do this job. We don't have to have ICE at all. You're right. But immigration enforcement needs to be done by some law enforcement agency, and the law enforcement agencies in blue municipalities will not do immigration enforcement. So if you don't want ICE, the swiftest way to, well, you want to abolish ICE, but to defang ICE or de-escalate or have ICE not involved in this process would be for local law enforcement to do this job. You're right. It doesn't need to be ICE doing it, and I think it is, in my own opinion, correct to object to many of the ways ICE is doing the job. I don't want to see American citizens harassed or hassled. I don't want to see armed guards on every street corner. I don't want to go door to door knocking on people's doors. I also think while First Amendment people are right to protest and respect the First Amendment, these clashes are more common when ICE is engaging in these kind of showy tactics. So I hear all of that, but there's going to be immigration enforcement because it's the purview of the national government. And if local law enforcement is not going to do it, the national troops are. So also, if we just abolished ICE and shifted the law enforcement, the immigration enforcement mechanism somewhere else,
then that
fine by me, but that would not satisfy the left. The left would not go, yay, or maybe they would say mission accomplished, but it would be a very silly thing to do.
No, the solution for people, and as somebody who lived in Colorado specifically under the mayor of Denver, he got into it directly with President Trump about his immigration policies. Listen, I think that there was room for improvement on the policies. I don't think that the next step of political retaliation is send ICE and militarized troops into cities and make the entire state, for the most part, on alert and uncomfortable. And I think that the president has to figure out a better way to communicate with people that he doesn't agree with. If Democrats did this when they were in leadership and just said, well, we're going to use all the federal extent of the law to do things in cities that we don't agree with, then it would be upheaval. So why are we accepting this from the president? This doesn't have to be the way forward. People don't want these militarized tactics in local cities in our country.
Some
and
people
so it's
do.
Not, yeah, well, I'm speaking for a lot of people that don't find this comfortable. I'm looking at polls, and it's still a majority that think that some of these tactics have gone too far. And so if that's the case, find a better solution. Like I said earlier, J.D. Vance going to Minnesota is a step in the right direction, but we just need a couple adults in the room to stop going on television trying to score political points, but actually sitting down and coming up with, what does this look like when a state doesn't agree with aggressive policies that you're suggesting? How do we find a middle ground? And that's what politics is all about. Finding a middle ground, people you disagree with that represent a large swath of people in their cities and states that might disagree with you.
Mamdani, does he represent any kind of middle ground on this?
Well, obviously he spoke to Trump, and Trump hasn't sent militarized vehicles to New York. So obviously there's something that Mamdani is doing that the president agrees with. Yeah?
I think Mamdani, I think Trump just likes him more because he seems cool.
But you said specifically, New York is considered one of these quote unquote sanctuary cities.
It is.
And so to avoid New
It
York,
houses migrants
because that's
in
your
hotels.
homeboy now, is absurd. What's the actual policy? Like, how are we picking these cities that we're targeting? And that's the bigger point. It's like, okay, so Mamdani became
Well,
your
we're
friend,
picking
he
them
schmoozed
based on
you,
how annoyed Trump is with
and that's
their
not
leadership.
right. That's
Yeah.
that's not a good way to police and put forth policy because someone, whether it's Greenland, who didn't give you the Nobel Peace Prize, or whether it's Fry in Minnesota, pissed you off. So now I'm going to attack you and retaliate with iced armed military, basically, in your city. That's not a way to behave as president.
All right, a lot more to talk about on Rising later today. Stay with us.